Hi, my name's Nikolai, aka 56Miner, and today we're unboxing our November Basics box. This month's box is going to be a mixed media box focusing on winter illustration. We'll talk about the materials, go over different ways to combine them, and I'll share some tips and tricks that I picked up while working with everything. Let's get into it. For our surface this month, we have the Clairefontaine Mega Paper. This smooth, bright white paper is perfect for markers and a favorite of comic book artists. The first marker in this month's box is going to be the Copic Classic in New Blue, or BG02. These alcohol-based markers feature two nibs, a chisel tip which is great for large areas, and a bullet nib which is great for detail. In order to avoid streaking, you'll want to fill in areas with your marker fairly quickly as you want to interact with that paper while it's still wet. In order to build value or create darker colors, however, you're going to want that base layer to fully dry before going back in. Our next two markers are going to be from the Marabou company, and they're going to be the Graphic Sketch markers in Phthalo Deep Green and Cerulean Blue. These markers are also going to be alcohol based, and they're going to feature the same nibs as our Copic Classic. While we can achieve both thick and thin lines with that chisel tip, I prefer the bullet nib in order to do things like cross-hatching or pointillism. Our next two items are going to be a pair of Goldfaber colored pencils in Deep Cobalt Green and Helio Blue Reddish. Because of the smooth texture of our paper, we can build up really subtle values using a light pressure with our colored pencils. I've always found that colored pencils and markers really complement each other, because while we can get very strong, flat color with the markers, and the colored pencil allows us to add a little bit more texture and to render a more realistic sense of form. By layering both of our colored pencils, we can achieve a much darker value, closer to a rich black. Taking some inspiration from our prompt Frost, I'll do a quick sketch of a sweater so that I can demonstrate different ways to combine these two mediums. Once I've established a good base layer with our BG02 marker, I'm going to go in and use our colored pencil more as a liner. I'll use it to detail the collar and sleeves, as well as add a few design elements to our sweater. I really enjoy using colored pencils like this as it's a bit more subtle than a black fine liner and gives a little bit more life to whatever you create. Now, if you've ever checked out some of my personal work, you know that I really enjoy monochromatic art. So let's pull in our other blue marker and layer our Copic in order to add a bit more dimension to our sweater. Working in a monochromatic style like this is a great way to take some of the pressure off of drawing because you don't have to worry about too many colors, and it's a great way to improve your understanding of value. As a fun warm-up this month, try designing your own ugly sweater. Let's grab the last item in our box, the Sakura Pen Touch in Metallic Silver. Now before we can use this art supply, we will need to activate it. We can activate our pen by pressing it against a hard surface a few times to allow that metallic ink to reach the tip. The chisel tip on this pen offers us a wide variety of unique effects, and we can create both thin and thick lines depending on how we hold our pen. It's perfect for calligraphy, and it's got a brilliant shine to it. I really like using this art supply to create design elements. So I'm going to start by creating a circle, just like we did in our October video, and then on top of it, I'm going to create a snowflake. I'll start by breaking down our circle into quadrants, and then take my time to work on each arm of the snowflake. I've always found when working with repetitive designs like this, that I can always create the most consistent design by shifting my focus to each part. So as you can see, I'm taking one element, turning the page, and then going in and repeating that element on the separate arms. Now of course our snowflake's not going to be completely symmetrical because we're human and we're doing this by hand, but that's kind of the fun and the beauty of things like this. Now that we have a good understanding of our materials, let's take what we learned and do something a bit more complex. This month, I thought it'd be fun for us to do an outdoor winter scene. I'll start by establishing my ground plane with a bit of snow, and add an outline of some footsteps through it. Then, making sure that I'm working quickly and keeping my page fairly wet, I'll go in and fill in that area with our BG02. Now if you get some streaks, that's not the end of the world, so don't worry too much about that at this stage. Using our green marker, I'll go in and create a few trees, using that bullet nib and some simple bending lines to imply the structure of the tree. We can also use parallel lines in a triangle shape to get more of that classic pine tree look. Using the helio blue, I'll go in and create a couple more trees, simplifying the tree shape down to its base shape, which is a triangle. This will give them a more illustrative or vector-based look. And since we're exploring different ways to draw trees, we can't forget about the classic cookie cutter shape. With my trees established, I'll go in and add a few smaller secondary elements to help fill up the empty space. Taking our color pencils, I'll add some trunks to the trees and darken up some areas to imply some shadow. Don't forget that we can achieve a much darker color by layering those color pencils. Using our Sakura pen touch, I'll go in and add some patterns and details to the trees. When working in a simplified illustrative style like this, pattern becomes even more important because it's how you can differentiate different objects in your scene. Now that we have those metallic details established, I'll go back in with my color pencil just to make those edges a little bit more crisp or to darken different areas. Using our markers on top of the Sakura pen touch will reactivate that metallic pigment, but you can always go back in and re-emphasize your lines. That's all for this month's video. Hope you enjoyed it, learned a few things, and if you post your work online, make sure you use #SketchBoxNovember. We love seeing what y'all create each month, and if you want to check out any of our previous videos, head over to our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe. And I'll see you next month.